Aloha and welcome to Bittersweet News Enviro Watch, the Carroll Cox Show. Thank you for joining me. It's been a while and got lots to talk about, but you know, some of the main issues that we focus on is the environment and waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. And what we're going to be discussing today is some activity or actions taken by or inactions taken by or initiated by members of the City and County of Honolulu wastewater management system. You and I know that the taxes are high here, and every time we go to the post office or the mailbox to get our mail, there's a chance there's another bill or an assessment. And so we're basically getting ripped off. And as I've always stated, I believe if we had honest management and management that stood by and observed what was actually going on with the workers in the use of taxpayers' dollars, we could cut it in about a third of fat right off the bat, just on oversight, overruns, preventing those and being attentive. But our mayor here, Mayor Caldwell, Kurt Caldwell, is quite busy trying to situate himself for the governor's position. Let no one fool you. You know, all the Corvette and all the activities that he's pushing, he might have some sincerity about the people, but don't you dare dismiss the possible potential that he is actually setting himself up for government. You ask me, based on what I know and how he handles matters, we should show him the door and never invite him back again through votes or anything to run anything city-wise. So this one takes the cake, so to speak. It takes place at this incident, several incidences of abuse of authority, waste of money, building what employees that work at the facility call a man cave, building a man cave so they could have after-hour party drinks and party with one another and shower and have a shower set up and watch big screen TV, all on taxpayers' dollars. Not to mention using taxpayers' money to do this. They actually go and claim overtime, I'm told, by a number of the employees who did report this incident or this behavior to me. So what this specifically, they're at Sand Island Wastewater Treatment Plant. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. The allegations that came to me initially in asking me to look into it from several city workers, the issue was there was a particular individual who is a management in the layer of managers, decided to install a toilet, a shower, big screen TVs, and other things, counters, for his man cave. And, you know, there's not supposed to be any drinking on property and what have you. Well, I was provided with pictures of the after effects on the trash piles in the back of a golf cart where Heineken beer. And it was stated that anytime they'd have parties up to 11 o'clock at night, 11:30 at night, at that facility, in what they call the training facility, a training room. Now, mind you, these are allegations made by workers there who have reported it too, but the problem is this mayor and his appointed director, Lori Karkina, is noted to have taken actions against people who speak out or who come forward with the truth. So let's not be fooled by it. I understand now. These are rumors, but rumors tend to, with the city and county of Honolulu, what I've learned, initially they are described as rumors, but there's a great chance that they're viable and they are reflecting what eventually will present themselves as facts as it relates to abuse of authority, abuse of property, abuse of monies, and what have you, taxpayers' expense. Tim Hooten is a deputy director, and I name these individuals because it is important to what I'm trying to convey in this situation. If any of you feel that it's false information, inaccurate, feel free to call me or take action, whatever you feel you need to do. But the point is, I'm going to speak specifically from documents here, and Tim Hooten is the Deputy Director of the Environmental Services Department. The director is Lori Kakina. The first letter that I got off to him was basically asking Mr. Marcus Owens, saying that this is a request for information and documents related to work performed by American Piping and Boiler Company in the training center, quote, located at Sand Island Wastewater Treatment Plant. More specifically, we're interested in getting answers regarding the authorization of the work, the total amount approved, and the total amount expended for the project. Who approved the project? Did the Training and Safety Branch oversee the projects? Was the work performed under Administration 115, or was it exempted? If yes, what is the justification? Did the Training and Safety Branch oversee the projects? These are questions we want to know. Is the work complete? What is the source of funding? Was the project advertised or quotes solicited by the purchasing office? If not, why not? We know the electrical and plumbing work was performed. What permits were required and were they obtained? Is it true that some of the work of the project was performed by city employees who were paid overtime? If so, what was the funding source? So all of these questions now is from a standpoint of a taxpayer, a watchdog. These are things we would want to know, or we wanted to know, and still do want to know. Well, we were met with some resistance. Marcus Owens, the Public Information Officer for Environmental Services, God bless his soul, he decided to invoke the coronavirus policy that it allows you to delay if needed, or something like that. He wrote a response to me. So I wrote him back on August 11th saying, would you please provide answers to my questions I provided earlier this week? I'm having to nudge them. I then write to Tim Hooten and his boss, and I'm telling him I'm asking his assistance in obtaining answers to the following questions to my request. Is a building permit required for the work in Building 3A? Per Honolulu code now, I'm not being general, I'm being specific. Per Honolulu Code 18.3.1, your response to my request did not include a copy of any permits for the work in question or building. Has a permit been applied for or obtained since the work has been done? Though it seems to be related to one remodeling project, why were 4 purchase orders issued to American Pipe and Boiler for work done on Building 3A? Why was the work not bid out? We were told by anonymous sources the total amount of the project was $23,236. Please provide the exact amount the subject project costs. We have that right to ask that question, so don't think we're being disrespectful or unreasonable. You as a citizen have that right to, especially your taxpayer, if it's government function. You know, we'll be polite in asking, but we have that right. And if they don't give it to you, you can appeal through Uniform Information Practices Act and get rendering an opinion from the OIP Office of information. Are there other projects that have followed similar procurement and permitting paths? Please provide names of the projects. Did anyone other than Ross Tanimoto or David Hurd approve the expenditures for the renovations and improvements? It was David Hurd, who we're told allegedly is the one who oversees and has control over the training center that built this shower and also expended the monies. Is this an instance of parceling that is prohibited by state law? Has the Board of Water Supply approved the work that was done? And has City and Environmental Services paid for the additional fixtures units that are required for the sink, toilet, and showers? Who inspected the work of American Pipe and Boiler to verify that all work was up to the code and the performance with city standards? Did the persons named in the previous question have the required qualifications and experience to inspect the work prior to authorizing the payment of the funds? Was the total amount spent for the project $23,236? And then I ask, would you be kind enough to provide a response to my questions by close of business Thursday? We've made phone calls, we've sent emails, and they just basically blew us off, refusing to respond, refusing to answer the phone because they've been caught. Like the spider's web, they have been caught. And when you're asking questions and you're taking taxpayers' money and the taxpayer asks questions, you don't have a right to just clamp down and stall and dismiss that request. You have a legal obligation to do this. So let's get into some of the proof now that speaks to what we were concerned with. Now this is a picture here of the training center that we're looking at, and also the interior, where if you look here closely, you'll see the toilet there in the right corner there, and you see the toilet, and you'll see the shower head coming out of the ceiling and what have you. So they already have showers in the other building for this reason. What we did was American Piping and Boiler Company is the one who performed the work. They're the one who provided the invoices, and these invoices were provided to us in part by the City and County of Honolulu Environmental Services as part of their response to our request, but they withheld some of the documents. The amount of money that we added up that covered the work that we were told is $23,000. But the invoices that they gave us only covered for $16,281. And listen to this now. Project maintenance building 3A modification of plumbing. Nowhere in here does it say that they were installing and purchasing toilets and showers. It just says that plumbing and description of repair and replace faulty valves. That's on May 13, 2019. But earlier, in February 26, 2019, maintenance building, trenching and excavation. Scope of work: excavate for drain pipes 2 feet wide by 22 foot long by 3 feet down, from floor slab and place S4 C pipe cushions. Actual installation of the plumbing, the toilets, is nothing to be found on any of these invoices. So the general exclusion clarification, this is what one of these documents would look like as you look at them. And down on the left there's exclusions. There are permits, hazardous remediation, plumbing work, electrical work, concrete and construction debris. So for that one portion of the job on February, they paid in part $3,049. That was in February. In March 1, they paid $4,137. What was the job being done, the project? Maintenance building 3A, modification plumbing. Modification plumbing. Didn't say install toilets and showers and what have you. Scope of work, install underground plumbing to toilet, shower, and sink. Stub up above floor cap. Install copper and line and stub up to water. 20 feet by 3/4 diameter. Fixed price proposal. $4,137. Again, all of this could have been answered. We wouldn't have to sit here and ask questions if they'd have been responsive like they should be, and be respectful and provide that information. We're not saying American Piping and Boiler did anything wrong. We're saying that the city and county of Honolulu employees at that facility are the ones who actually authorize this, and by hook or crook or whatever you look at it, maybe it's legal, but it's not consistent with what we've seen over the years and what procurement laws require at a certain level. Once you reach a certain amount of money, exceeding that, you have to do things a little different, a little more bidding and competition and advertising and what have you. Now, that may exist. Those documents may exist. But when we file our requests, it came to us in parts. And they refuse to answer when we write them back and call them back and say, look, you're not giving us all the documents. We've asked for these documents and you didn't give them to us. So instead of responding and saying, we're not giving you any more documents, there are no more documents, whatever the explanation was, but being courteous enough. But, you know, when you catch a fly in a sticky fly paper, you're not going to get much buzz out of them anyway. It's just, they've been caught. I'm just going to tell you, and if they don't like it, just go out and sue me or whatever. But when the public asks for information, you should be upfront, straightforward, get the information. Invoices should not be talking about digging trenches and paying and breaking it up in $4,000 and $3,000 payments so that you don't have to go over the line and file and be open and overt about it. You can do it under the table. Now, American Piping and Boiler Company, they are doing what any company would do. You want the work, you do it. We're not enforcers of here, so whatever goes on internally, that's between you and the taxpayer. This is them talking city. So in no time are we saying that American Boiler Piping and Boiler Company has done anything wrong here. These documents were obtained through our Uniform Information Practices Act request, in part from the city and county of Honolulu. So, March 1, they billed $4,918, install and repair electrical plugs and switches. Once again, don't say anything about installing toilets or what have you. So did they being the city and county employees, did they break this work up in parts so that if the law says anything over 15,000, anything over 9,000, you have to get it approved, get it bid, and what have you? Repair and replace electrical plugs and switches for $4,919, almost $5,000, right below the line in these. But you add them all up, there is so much waste, fraud, and abuse at the Sand Island wastewater treatment plant. This just touches it. When we look at the drying of the waste, the sludge, They tell us they were going to sell it, and it was going to be promoted and commercialized after we dried out, and we spent some $35 million for a new egg, a digester, and go out and look on the market and see if you can find that sludge, dried sludge. As Lori says, we take the it out of it. So they're lame duck now, you see. They're all paused, as I say. The mayor we're hearing rumors that he is trying to take action so that he can get Lori Karkina because she's a, quote, good manager. But if you hear the horror stories and the relationships that exist there where people were in conflict, working for one company and working for another and getting contracts or serving contracts under her watch and getting paid double. Abuse of time cards, time sheets. If you were in the link with her or in good with her, you were okay. We had a couple of people that called up, and some have no longer working at that facility, but the information provided is just absolutely mind-boggling. How could anyone allow the relationships in the environment to rot, so to say? It's an insult on the part of Tim Hooten and Marcus Owen to hide behind. They got not much to do with the coronavirus task force or anything, but to delay and interfere and obstruct public access to records. He invoked that. We received your 92F request and have attached the acknowledgement for requesters to further form. Further, Governor Ige's 10th supplemented proclamation suspended UIPA deadlines. Nevertheless, we have begun to work on your request for documents in good faith, but do not have a time frame for completion yet. Below is the excerpt from Governor Ige's SP10, which is in effect until August 31, 2020. August 31, 2020 came and no documents. I had to make requests again for those documents. I had to phone, make another request. So it's one thing to insult the public by abusing your authority. It's another to defraud or deny or withhold information that is right publicly allowed to be released to the public. So something's really horrendous. And imagine, and I'm jumping the broom here on this one and marrying Caldwell with this behavior, but it is under his watch. And these people will, if he becomes governor, will find themselves sitting high and mighty in some other positions where with greater trust that they can violate and breach. And so based on this and many other things that we witnessed with the mayor, Kirk Caldwell, it says a lot about his ability and his concerns when people will withhold information and just outright lie and take money and spend it without worrying about consequences from the top. So one may not like what I've said. I don't like what I've said either, as far as I don't like to be mean-spirited. But when we exercise our rights as citizens, and basically the first right is we're law-abiding, we pay our taxes, and we only expect you to use those tax dollars sensibly and with an honest effort of accounting. It becomes problematic when you abandon that responsibility, hand it off to your underlings, and then they in turn go to work and make their own little fiefdom, a kingdom, and man caves, and build it. Now, having said that, if you don't like what I said, tough, because that's what this is about. You have violated the trust of the people. These documents, these invoices, I understand why you withheld them. I understand why you decided to invoke the governor's 10th supplemental proclamation suspended UIPA. So, again, we're going to still pursue this. And just in our next show, we're going to be doing a story on the Honolulu wastewater treatment plant, where for 4 months in 2019, the city and county of Honolulu failed to treat the water properly, where it exceeded the allowable numbers, the BOD and the suspended solids. Major violation. In between this show and the next show, you may hear it in the news, but there's a major violation occurred with intentions behind it, that the people that worked there were trying to do the right thing, but they couldn't get the support because the management tend to crack the whip, as they describe it, and you only do things the way they want to do it because they want to shave off dollars and save dollars. So these are the things that lead me to believe that this is a corrupt administration, and it's telling in these documents. So thank you for joining me, and I appreciate you joining in and listening, and I appreciate your phone calls and your emails, and keep them coming, because without those, I would be in the dark on most of the issues. So I'm not shy to tell you I survive on your letters, your emails, or EnviroWatch at envirowatch.org, ENVIROWATCH at envirowatch.org. My phone number is 808-782-6627. Always willing to hear from you, and let's keep the faith, and it's our interest that we're protecting, not theirs. Those that want to be political, let them be political, but not at our cost. So take care, and aloha.